Hey everybody, welcome back to the Race Smokehouse and Grill, and today we have a fun one for you. I'm borrowing a recipe from Chef Stephen Cusato from Not Another Cooking Show. He makes these amazing short rib grilled cheese sandwiches. We're gonna do that on the Weber Smoky Mountain. Let's go. I must be crazy to be doing this today. We're again in the Chicagoland area. It currently feels as if it is -11 outside, but I want to do this recipe and I'm actually really looking forward to this recipe. Chef Stephen used to make this grilled cheese sandwich on his food truck. Made a great video for it. I'll put the link up here somewhere in the description below so you can check out his links as well. If you don't know his channel, I'm sure you do. But he uses short ribs, braises it in a red wine sauce, shreds it, makes these fantastic grilled cheese sandwiches. Today I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to use some chuck roast. Now this chuck roast is beautiful. It says choice, but there's a lot of great marbling in here, and we're going to smoke it before we braise it, give another level of flavor. But we're going to try to follow this recipe as closely as we can, and immediately I'm going off the reservation by using chuck roast instead of short rib, but it's very close in marbling, in texture, flavor, all that, so I think this is a fine substitute. Now we got to get this chuck roast on the smoker, so first thing I'm going to do is season it up. All I'm doing is I'm hitting it with a quick seasoning of Suckle Buster's 1836 beef rub. I love this stuff on chuck roast. Great peppery flavor, some saltiness to it, a little sweetness to it, has all the great components of what you want for beef. So let's just give this a quick season up. Pat it in. Oh man, this the chuck roast froze to the pan. That's how cold it is. It froze to the pan. Wow. This was only out here a few minutes too. Wow, it's so cold. All right, get all sides seasoned up. Chuck roast is seasoned up. Let's get that Weber Smoky Mountain fired up. We're starting with some Gelastevel lump charcoal. We have a couple Weber wax cubes in there. We're gonna light those cubes up and let this fire start. Once those wax cubes are burnt off and we have a nice little fire rolling in the center of this, we're gonna add a couple chunks of cherry wood in here, get some more great smoke flavor throughout this cook. Let's put this back together. Show you we're using the fire dial on this cook. I do not have a water pan in here. We're only gonna use the fire dial. Let this come up to temperature. We're gonna try to cook this around 275. Depends on how the weather cooperates. Luckily, I have this kind of enclosed and that should be able to maintain a decent temp. So this is set. Let's go put it on the Smoky Mountain. Smoker is up to temp. We're rocking around 260 right now, which is perfect. Let's go get this chuck roast on the grill. Hopefully I could peel it off this pan. Just gonna throw it right on the center here. Got her on, let's close it up. Wanna get that shut down when it's this cold. You don't want that heat escape. You wanna keep that moving through the chamber. We're gonna let this smoke for a few hours. Next step is we need to make some pickled red onions. I moved into the house for the next step because it is cold outside. So we're gonna get these pickled red onions started. This is gonna be a quick pickle. First thing we need to do is get this red onion sliced up. So I'm just gonna cut the ends off. Peel this paper off. Then we're just gonna cut this in half. And we are gonna cut this very, very finely across here. But you wanna have these nice thinner slices, because then that'll pickle nice and quick, and it won't be overpowering. Onions sliced up, but what I like to do is make sure that these are broken up and separated for when we put it into the jar. You can make sure nothing's really sticking together too much, and we can get that good pickle solution all around these. All right, let's get these jarred up. Got our jars, just gonna fill these up, pack them in pretty tight. We have enough for 2 jars here. Jars are put together, filled with the onion. Let's get over to the stove, make the pickling brine that we're gonna put these in. While that's smoking, these are gonna pickle for a couple hours on the counter, and they're gonna be ready when it's time to make the sandwich. So let's head over to the stove, make this brine up. All right, let's get this pot heated up. And we're just gonna start adding some of our ingredients here. We're gonna start with 1 cup of water, half a cup of white vinegar, half a cup of apple cider vinegar. A lot of recipes call for sugar. I like using the Mike's Hot Honey. Gives a great sweet flavor, gives a little kick as well. So we're gonna use 3 tablespoons of this for our sweet component. About 1, 2, 3. Now I'm gonna get kicked for doing it this way, but I am gonna measure out the salt. I don't want it to be too salty. So we're gonna do 3 teaspoons of salt. And then about a half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. You wanna get this mixed together, get everything integrated. You want that salt to go into solution. You want that honey to melt. We're gonna let this simmer through for about a minute or so just to get it heated through. And we'll be back when it's time to put this pickling solution into the jars with the red onions to begin that pickling process. We got the pickling solution off the stove. It's ripping hot. You can still see that steam coming off here. You get this good vinegary honey smell. This is gonna be really good. So you wanna pour this over hot because it's gonna start pickling these right away. Cover this up, give her a shaky shake. Now we're gonna let this sit until it's time to eat. We'll be back when it's time to check on the chuck roast, make sure it's coming along all right, and then we're gonna start our braised solution. Be back then. Chuck roast is coming along beautifully. We're temping right around 160. Just take a look at this. So now it is time to prepare our veggies for the braising. We're gonna have a couple celery sticks. We have a couple full carrots, a whole sweet onion, about 5 or 6 cloves of garlic, and then rosemary and thyme, and a few bay leaves. So we're gonna chop all this up, get it into the bowl, and get it ready for the braise. Then you're gonna cut these into medium small diced cubes because you're gonna want these to cook fully, but you still want to be able to see and taste them. Giving the garlic that quick smash really helps get that paper off of it, which could sometimes be a pain, like taking the edges off. And then give these a really fine chop up here. Last bits to get this onion done. We have our veggies all put together. Now it's time to start making that braise. We're gonna head over to the stove. We're gonna do this on the stovetop. Let's go over there, get this started. We got our cast iron pan warming up on the stovetop. Normally I would do this outside. Again, like I said, it's cold. Gonna saute up these veggies real quick. So let's hit this pan with a little olive oil to start. This is gonna warm up and we're just gonna dump all of our veggies into the pan, saute them up, let them brown a little bit. We're gonna saute these up on about a medium heat. We don't wanna burn them, but we do want them to cook through. Don't forget to give a little seasoning, some salt, and some black pepper. Man, this kitchen is smelling amazing right now. Take a look at these onions. They're really starting to get translucent and cook through and get nice and soft. So right now we're gonna add some tomato paste to this. About 3 tablespoons, which is a good 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna mix this around. Let all this integrate. You can really see that change in color from that tomato paste. That's gonna add a really nice depth of flavor. Now we're gonna let this keep cooking until we get some bits form into that pan. And those bits on the bottom of the pan are nothing but flavor. And we're gonna deglaze with some red wine. So we're gonna open up a bottle of red wine here We're going with some Cooper's Hawk, Super Tuscan. This is one of my favorite reds. So we're gonna use some in this cook here. Oh yeah, that smells good. Oh yeah. See, it's starting to brown up on there, and that's exactly what we want. We're getting some of this area over here. You could see, I'll move it so you can see that that's forming to the bottom of the pan here. All these sticky bits. That's gonna deglaze and make some amazing flavor in here. A couple more minutes and then we're gonna add the wine. Veggies are getting really soft. We have that nice buildup of those bits on the bottom of the pan. Let's add our wine. We're gonna add a few cups of it. We'll check by level. Let's go look. And then deglaze. Then all that stuff that was stuck to the bottom comes right off, and that's gonna cook right in. Adds so much more flavor. And you can see by that color how amazing this is gonna be. Let this cook down now. We're gonna let this reduce by half or so. Cook that alcohol out and really concentrate those flavors. We're gonna let this reduce and we'll show you where it's gonna be when we put that chuck roast in here to start braising. This is coming along beautifully. You can see it thickening up nice, which is exactly what we'd like. That's another function of that tomato paste that helps thicken this up. So we're gonna throw our bay leaves, our rosemary and thyme in here. We're gonna add this beautiful chuck roast right into the pan here. Then on top of this, we're gonna cover with beef stock, and you wanna get enough of here to basically cover the whole pot. Now, if you used a Dutch oven, a larger cast iron, that obviously would work better than what I'm using here in the cast iron pan, but I think that's gonna work well. We're gonna cover this up and go into the oven at 350 for a couple hours, about 2 hours, and we're gonna check to see how tender it is and if it's ready to come out. Let's get this in the oven, be back in a couple hours. So this was braising for about 2 hours at 350 in the oven. Now it's time to check out our chuck roast, see how it's doing. If it needs to go any longer, I'm gonna take a couple forks, see if we're able to shred this. If not, we're gonna put it back in for about another half hour. That is looking amazing. Oh yeah, this is gonna shred nice. Let's take a taste of this real quick. Off the bat, you get the smoke, you get the red wine in there, you get all those veggies imparting their bits of flavors in there. We're gonna pull this off, shred it, add a little juice back, then we can make our sandwich. So let's bring this off, shred it up. We've pulled our chuck roast out of the cast iron. This thing is looking amazing. Again, you can just shred this right apart. And that's the nice thing about braising. It just breaks all those connective tissues down, all that fat down, and you're left with any tough piece of meat being rendered down into this just delicate, decadent piece of meat. Again, this is a chuck roast. There may be some bigger chunks of fat laying around. If you don't want those in there, kick those off to the side. They're just so tender. We have our chuck roast shredded, looking absolutely fantastic. We're gonna put this off into a bowl for now, because we're gonna add a little bit of those juice and veggies that are still in there into the bowl. So we have our beautiful braising liquid. We wanna go ahead, there is some fat on here, so if you wanna move that over to the side, by all means, or use a fat separator, get in there. And we're gonna add this liquid in, along with these veggies. You want to make sure there's some good veggies in there, because that's going to build part of the sandwich as well. Now we have the makings for the smoked and red wine braised chuck roast grilled cheese sandwich. So let me get all the ingredients to make this sandwich, and I'm going to show you how we're putting it together. All right, time to start putting this bad boy together. First thing we're going to do, we're gonna grate some cheese. We're using some smoked Gruyere cheese. I don't know how to say that, Gruyere. This is a block, 8 ounces. I'm gonna shred most of it. It's good enough for a couple sandwiches, so we'll have it. We have our cheese shredded. Time to start putting the sandwich together. We're using sourdough bread to put this together. Holds up really well when making grilled cheeses. Now, one of the unique aspects of this sandwich is that he uses a blackberry jam. So you have salty, you have sweet, you have tart. You have all these flavors coming together. Let's put some blackberry jam on here. Now you don't want to go too heavy on there. You just want to get a thin layer, just as something added to the sandwich here. You don't want it to be the main player, but you definitely want to know it has a role in the game here. We got our jam down. Now it's time to cheese this up some. And we're gonna cheese both sides here. Now we're gonna add our meat component that we spent hours making today. This should be the star of the show. Again, you don't need to go too heavy with it, but you know you want it on there. You wanna get some of those veggies on there that are gonna be soft and sweet and delicate. Man, the smell's coming from this. This is really top notch. Now he uses watercress. Now I went to several stores looking for watercress, which is a leafy green that is grown in the water. Couldn't find any. I researched what veggies are similar, so I found this spinach and butter mix. We're gonna use that. Not exactly the same, but it's very close. So we're gonna get our greens on here. Time to add our pickled onions. Then we'll spread them out as we go. Oh, the smell of these. You obviously get that vinegary bite from the smell, but there's also that sweet in there that you get from the honey. These are some of my favorite flavors all going. You got smoky, you got a little spicy, you've got sweet, you've got tart. Now a chef says you wanna be confident when closing it. You wanna close it quickly, but not messily, and you wanna be able to do it like a book. So we just gotta go over, flip it over. Just like that. Now you're going to lose some here, as you see, some cheese, but we're gonna sprinkle this on there, and as it's toasting in the pan, that cheese is gonna bake into there even further. So we're gonna go warm up our pan. We're gonna let it warm up for about 5 minutes, and we're gonna put these in dry, let it toast up, and we'll show you how we finish the rest. Let's get over to the stove. We've had our pan warming up on the stove for a few minutes now. It is hot. I could feel the heat coming right off of it. Let's get this sandwich in. We'll show you how we're cooking this. This thing's a monster. You hear that sizzle, you'll know that it is nice and warm. So we're gonna let this cook up and toast up for a minute or two until it starts to brown. You wanna be quick and confident. Boom. See, we got that nice toasting up top there. Now we're gonna hit it with a little mayonnaise. This is gonna help brown it even further. Plus we have this cheese that we grated. You're gonna throw some of this on top of here, because we're gonna flip this again here in a minute, and we're gonna want all that cheese melted to the top of the bread. The inside of the bread gonna be ooey gooey, sweet, savory, delicious. Can't wait. Let's keep cooking. So we're gonna flip this over here in a second and do the same to the other side. When this is brown and melted and warm through, we're gonna dig in. I can't. Some more mayo and cheese. You can see all that cheese baked right into the crust here. See it's starting to melt inside. This is all starting to come together. You know it's getting ooey gooey when you're pulling it apart and it all sticking together. A few more minutes on this and it's gonna be done. We're gonna flip another couple of times, really get that texture and that color of the outside of the bread where we like it. I'm cooking this right now and I don't believe how good this looks. I think the secret's gonna be that blackberry jam too. All right, this thing is done and exactly where we want it. We're gonna pull it off, slice it, give it a try. Can't wait again. Let's go. This masterpiece is finished. Gonna have a great crunch to it. I'm super excited. Hopefully I don't tear this up cutting into it. Let's give it a whirl here. Yeah, melted cheese coming right out of that. Only thing we have to do now is taste it, and oh man, I'm excited. You can see here that jam has kind of gone into the bread some. I almost don't want to eat it, it looks too pretty. Here we go. This is one of the best sandwiches I've ever put in my mouth. Holy cow. Everything just plays together. You get the sweetness, you get that cheesy, you get the smokiness from adding the smoke on there, you get that red wine, you get a little acidity, you get the sweet and tart from those pickled onions. Oh my gosh, everything, those veggies on here. that subtle sweetness that's in here. I can't tell you how good this recipe is. And I could see why this was a big seller on their food truck. If you like what we did here today, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you for checking out the videos. Leave a comment down below, and we'll talk to you all soon. Check me out on social media. If you want to buy one of those hats that I was wearing earlier in the video, drop me a message, and I'll tell you how to get one. Until next time, talk to you later. Peace.